Yo, welcome in, man, to the ChrisBeCappinn Show. Today is November 17th. We got it's a bunch of games on the board for today. I think I'm gonna break down probably about 5 of them, and then we'll get up out of here. No recap. If you watched the show yesterday, you tell any of the things that we talked about on the show, you made a lot of money. I think everything that we talked about yesterday happened, but neither here nor there. That is in the past. Let's jump into the games for today. Prolific in here with me this morning says, good morning, Chris. Yesterday I meant I was up early, not you. Oh, got it. Okay, I remember that comment. Says he likes a couple dogs today. What up, Tasha? McLean says, good morning, gang. Let's get this money. Let's do just that. See if we can get after it today. Try to make this show pretty short so we can enjoy our Sundays. A lot of basketball on. Of course, it's NFL Sunday. A lot of football on as well. Week 11. Let's jump into it for today. So real quick, I do want to talk just a bit about jaXon, as I always do. jaXon likes, I'll tell you guys what jaXon likes because I was looking at it earlier today. jaXon likes, so jaXon is an AI-powered sports betting model that you could use. Type in, looking for player props, looking for trends, looking for whatever it is that you're looking for. A lot of historical data. There's a promo link in the description of the video if you guys are interested. But this morning I just let me see what jaXon likes today. jaXon likes the Phoenix Suns in the first game, which we'll talk about in just a second, plus the points. jaXon also likes the Atlanta Hawks minus the 3.5. I don't know about that one. Also likes the Brooklyn Nets to cover against the Knicks again at plus 9.5 today. It also likes the under, which I like the under in the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll talk about that. It likes the over between the Charlotte Hornets and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it comes with a little write-up to tell you why it likes it as well. So if you have already capped the games yourself, or just interested in kind of tracking the system as it works, check jaXon out, man. jaXon is a really great tool to help you with your handicapping process. I wouldn't rely on jaXon specifically, but my guy Joe the Gambler told me that it has been profitable with him tracking his bets since he signed up. So definitely something to take advantage of and look out for. A lot of different prompts you can put in. It can make you graphs, it can make you charts. And like I said, there's a promo code in the description of the video. So let's jump into it. First game we got up is the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game will be played in Minnesota today, and this is the matinee game. We talked about the matinee game yesterday, liking the dog in that one, liking the under. It did go over, but matinee games, like I said yesterday, typically go under. So this line, I'm not sure what it opened at, but I saw it last night at 7. Now it looked like money coming in on the Timberwolves. This has been pushed to 7.5 on most books. There's a couple 7s out there, and the total has continued to come down. It was 220.5. Now it's down to 218.5 on most books. There is a couple 219s out there as well. So you got a Minnesota team. Real quick, let's just get into the cap. You got a Minnesota team that is, let's see, real quick. All right, you got a Minnesota team let's start with Phoenix first. So Phoenix is coming off, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They've also failed to cover 3 of their last 4 games. Outside of beating the Utah Jazz, this team has been pretty pedestrian. We know that they have been without Kevin Durant. They've also been without Bradley Beal. So now you get them on the road, and it's the first leg of a back-to-back. They got the Orlando Magic at home. They played 4 of their last 5 games on the road, 3 straight games on the road, and this will be the last of a 4-game road trip for them. On the opposite side, you got so Phoenix has not looked good recently. We talked about taking the team total under against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Didn't pull the trigger. Easy winner there. Now you got the Minnesota Timberwolves. Also first game back home after a 3-game road trip. They, of course, lost to the Miami Heat at home. Went to Portland twice. Lost both of those games. Bounced back in a win, 130-126 against the Sacramento Kings. And they do have a lot more rest after this game, but it is a one-off home game, and then they go back on the road to play the Toronto Raptors, and then they got the Boston Celtics coming up as well. So not the greatest spot. We know that game went to overtime with the Sacramento Kings as well. I typically like to fade teams coming off an overtime game. Also, first game back home after a little, I know it's not too long of a road trip, but who are we to be laying points with the Minnesota Timberwolves in this spot? I'm not of the mindset that that's something that I want to do. Not right now. Let's see. I got a couple systems I want to share with you guys as well. There's one thing I want to look at really quickly, and that is the Timberwolves as a home favorite this season. They are 2-4 against the number. They are winning by the couple wins that they did get were pretty big. They beat the Trailblazers by 25, and they beat the Hornets by 19. But they failed to cover every other game so far this season. This is playoff revenge. We got to remember that as well. The Minnesota Timberwolves took the Phoenix Suns to the woodshed last year in the playoffs. They swept them in the playoffs, beat them every single game, covered every single spread. And three of the four games went under. But this is totally different, right? No Bradley Beal was available. He's not available. Kevin Durant was available. He's not available. And this Timberwolves team is a lot healthier than the Suns right now. I'm just not in the position to feel like I want to lay 7 with the Timberwolves right now. I also think that it's a little bit of an under game. Real quick, I think the Phoenix Suns give what they have in this spot, being that they lost to this team in the playoffs last year. Orlando, that's going to be a really good game tomorrow with Orlando, in my opinion. Orlando first game on the road, and Phoenix off the second leg of a back-to-back. So maybe a little bit of a spot for Orlando tomorrow based on how this game goes today. What I will say is, I forgot to mention the injury report, but Nurkic is listed as probable for this game. I think he played in the last game against Oklahoma City, and it really didn't matter. Grayson Allen been dealing with the hamstring injury. He's been upgraded to probable. You need him in if you like Phoenix, in my opinion, especially when you don't have Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. So Minnesota, think they have a clean injury report here. I would be looking towards the under. I would take the 219.5, and I would be taking the points with the Phoenix Suns, thinking that they can keep this game covered. Keep this game close after getting blown out to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's see. I think I had. Let me see if I can find the system that I had on this one. So yeah. So you look at games, these matinee games, like I talked about. The home team is coming off an overtime game, and then they're playing early. So you could say Phoenix has a little bit more rest in this spot because Minnesota's coming off the overtime game as well. 4-14 against the numbers. So that's it. 78% trend. I know it's a super small trend, but about 78% says that the Suns cover this game based on the early start time, based on having the rest advantage because Minnesota's coming off an overtime game. So that was what I had on the under. And what I had on that was also under trend, but it also says take the Phoenix Suns in this spot. What up, SK? Good morning, Sarah. Prolific says I had jaXon join me for breakfast because I like the Phoenix game. Okay, what you like? Let me know. Prolific. Anthony says parlayed your picks yesterday and added Spurs full game under. Let's get it. I'm glad you made some money yesterday, Anthony. Wish I parlayed because I would have probably made some money too. Timeout says Minnesota would own them tonight. Suns don't have what it takes to compete with Timberwolves' length and tenacity. Says he thinks it probably goes 120-99. I don't think so tonight, Timeout. We'll see how it goes, but I'm not laying points with the Timberwolves. I know that they're in much better shape and condition right now. I agree with that, but I think Phoenix brings it in this game. I really, really do. Coming off a couple, really bad losses. I think we see a fired up team here. I think we see a fired up team. We'll see how it goes. SK says can see a Devin Booker 50 piece, and Fox just had 60 on him. I agree with that. Maybe that's a alternate play. I like this from SK. Devin Booker's gonna have to take a lot of those shots today. We'll see if he's up for the task. I can see Devin Booker having a really big game in this spot. To me, this game means a lot more for the Suns than the game tomorrow means for the Suns when they play against the Orlando Magic. Real quick, let's see what Devin Booker points are set at, and then we'll keep it moving to the next game. 26.5 it looks like on pretty much every book, but it's juiced to the over on most books. You can get a 115 out there. Some of the smaller books have 10 cents of juice. Oh, BetMGM actually got 10 cents of juice. So best number to take for Devin Booker is up and over 26.5 points versus a Timberwolves team that probably feels like he that owned him. So I would be looking for that as well. Keith says Josh Okogie take his rebounds here. Thomas says Booker has been struggling for a minute. Unless he turns it on, I don't believe in the Suns. I could see that. Like, that makes a ton of sense. He says last game versus OKC, he didn't score to the third quarter, I think. Well, we talked about that timeout. Whoever you take as the opposing, primary scorer, you take the unders against Oklahoma City. They play Dort. You get the Dortcher chamber. and it's not been profitable at all to take the opposing starter. We cashed on a James Harden under, so you can't just base it off that one game. But I understand your risk here, and we'll talk about OKC. They got the Dallas Mavericks. We'll talk about them, some more playoff revenge. We'll talk about that in a second. Prolific says he likes Devin Booker points. What up, Jacob? He says he's at the gym. Past week been printing money. I like to hear that, Jacob. Jacob been on fire, getting some CLV. Let's move on to the next game. We got the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. This game is, let's see, I think this is a matinee start time as well. I just want to make sure. I want to say it is, though. Let's see. It is 5 o'clock start time. This line opened, I think the Indiana Pacers were laying 2.5. It looks like it is being pushed to 3. There's a couple 2.5 still out there. The total, I think, has trickled up in this one. Of course, this is a rematch of the game that we just saw the other day. The Indiana Pacers laid a big egg in that game. And I know a lot of people like the Pacers. I actually thought the Pacers could win that game as well. You had Miami coming off the overtime loss against the Detroit Pistons. So I'm reading about the game last night. I'm reading about this game last night. And because I didn't get a chance to watch it too much, I just saw that Miami jumped out on the Indiana Pacers early, and then they never really looked let up. They outscored them by 11 in the third quarter, and outscored them by 9 points in the second quarter after losing the first quarter by 3. And in the third quarter, they will end up going up by 7. Rick Carlisle ended up pulling his starters, put all of them on the bench, told them just to sit and watch while Obi Toppin went out there and gave him 21 points, hitting 8 of his 10 shots. So you do get a little bit of a bounce back spot for the Pacers here. The Miami Heat, in my opinion, played a little above their head in that game. They are supposed to get Jimmy Butler back in this spot. So I think that's something worth mentioning. Bam actually cooked in this game. I did not think Bam was going to have as strong of a game. We know that when you're talking about the Pacers, they've been a team so far this season, and even last season, that typically runs you off the 3-point line. It makes you have to, eat from the paint. But we talked about it on the show on Friday. The Pacers, not the Pacers. The Miami Heat were not a team that was attacking the rim that much. Bam Adebayo field goal attempts had been down on the season. We saw that change. We absolutely saw that change. And just to put some numbers behind that, Miami 25th in rim frequency, 25th in rim accuracy so far this season. They're not a team that shoots a lot of points in the paint. Bam had 30 the other day. So the other thing that really stood out to me when I like handicapping these quick back-to-back games is that Miami shot the ball so well. They shot 52%, scored 124 points. That's not something that's sustainable in my opinion. The Miami Heat offense is not that great. They end up shooting 52% from the field, hit 15 of their 42 threes for 36%. Bam Adebayo hit 2. Howard Haysmith actually hit 2. Kevin Love hit 3, had 15 points in 12 minutes. I don't think that is sustainable at all. Terry Rozier had a pretty good game. Tyler Hero actually did not have a pretty good game, but their bench played well. Like they really got the job done. I know Indiana has been struggling. I do think as much as I want to play the Pacers in this spot, like I think the lack of depth is really hurting this team right now. They were without Andrew Nembhard. They were without Aaron Nesmith. And when you're starting Ben Shepherd, he's not coming off the bench. I do not like the Pacers as much. All the trends gonna say take the Pacers in this spot, and I guess that's the way I would lean, just because the starters they get benched, and I do expect them to come out and try to fight a little bit harder and play a little bit harder in this spot. So it'd be Pacers or nothing for me, but this is a team that I kind of need to see it with before I pull the trigger. I don't like that Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard, I think, are going to continue to be out in this game. Let me just double check the injury report, but I want to say, yeah, both of those guys are out. Jimmy Butler is listed as iffy, questionable for this game. If he does return, it'll be his first game back after missing the last 3 with an ankle injury. So as much as I want to play the Pacers, I got all kind of systems on the Pacers. I got the Miami Heat playing 6 of the last 7 games on the road. That's typically a face spot. It's the last game for the Miami Heat of a very long. I think all of their games have actually been on the road. I want to say this is the last of a 6-game road trip for the Miami Heat. 6 game of a road trip for the Miami Heat. So that's a system that says that the Pacers win and cover. Teams that previously got a road win, the opponent typically are coming off a loss, which the Indiana Pacers are. You're on the road, and the books have a pretty tight spread during the regular season. Is a 60% trend before the All-Star break that says that the Indiana Pacers win and cover today. And then, of course, you just get the quick revenge. Some teams playing the same exact team that they just played, coming off a loss as a favorite, and their favorite is a strong trend towards the under in this spot, and towards the Pacers as well, about 55%. I didn't pull a trigger with the Pacers, but that would be the way that I would look in this game. Just thinking that they can get a little bit of revenge here. And they don't typically lose back-to-back games. The Pacers have actually lost back-to-back games to the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat in their last few games. They've actually lost 3 of their last 4. I think that if the Heat go all out, just so you guys know, if the Heat go all out in this spot, I know a lot of people have been looking to take Philly. You take Philly tomorrow. So the Miami Heat are in a terrible spot tomorrow. That'll be their first game back home off of the 6-game road trip, and they got the Philadelphia 76ers, the well-rested Philadelphia 76ers. 2 days rest to 0 tomorrow. That's the spot that you want to take if Miami plays this game competitively, wins this game, it comes down to the end, you take Philly tomorrow. I do think that Philly wins the game tomorrow versus the Miami Heat. Terrible spot for the Miami Heat tomorrow. First game back home, no rest, facing the rest of the opponent. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on this game. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. YouTube official says Pacers on a no betting list. Somebody told me that yesterday about the Dallas Mavericks, and they won by 20 yesterday. Jimmy Buckets is back. Hopefully, SK says Heat with or without Butler. I think that is what Dino says. Okay. Timeout says Pacers quick revenge spot. So a lot of conflicting thoughts on this game, which makes sense. I expect people to agree on this one. Miami or nothing. Hiro says Pacers lack depth, critical injuries, and that's what kept me off of it, because I don't just play the systems because they're the systems. But I agree with this comment from Prolific. He says Heat overperformed last game, 125 points. The Miami Heat don't typically score 125 points. That's a lot of points for the Miami Heat. And just to put some numbers to that real quick, let's look at the Heat real quick after they scored 100. Let's just look at them after they scored 120 points. Since last season, the Heat coming off a game where they scored 120 points or more, they actually are 12-4 straight up, 9-6-1 against the spread. So that's 60%. If you're just looking at them in their previous games, there's 9-7 to the under. What about if we add their road games after this? They are okay. Heat spot 6-2 straight up, 6-1-1 against the number, 85.7%. 6-2 to the under if the Heat are coming off a game where they scored 120 points or more and they're on the road. So just something to take into consideration. I think that I'm gonna sit this one out. McLean says I want to play the Pacers revenge spot, but I don't know, man. And that's my sentiments as well. It's the injuries, man. I think Nesmith and Nembhard mean a lot, but I don't want the Heat. I typically like the Heat catching points. I don't want them in the revenge spot here, though. Pacers team total, Anthony says. I think that if you like the Pacers, the Heat's defense has been pretty good. Here's what I wrote down that I didn't get to in my notes. I think that if you like the Pacers, you like the Pacers early. Maybe you get in and get out with the Pacers because it's not sustainable. They don't have enough depth for the full game. But just because Rick Carlisle benched the starters in the last game, I heard the quotes from Tyrese Halliburton saying that they, got to play better. They made a lot of stupid mistakes. And real quick, let me just see if I can find it. He said, so after the game, Tyler Hero said, he said, I thought we were doing a lot of dumb on both ends of the ball. Defensive lapses, bad shots, bad turnovers. We started playing the game we started playing the game the right way early. The ball was moving, hopping. Then we made some bad turnovers and bad shots. We let them dictate our defense. We let that dictate our defense a little bit. We didn't get enough shots. That's a bad combo. So, just listening to that quote, and like I said, with them being benched, I think Indiana early could potentially be the best spot in this game. You can get a first quarter spread for Indiana, probably like a point. Let's see what that number is. Yeah, you can get a half a point on BetMGM later 15 cents with the Pacers. Maybe they come out early with something. I typically like to take that spot in quick revenge games. And you can get a first half -1.5. So maybe they don't win the full game. Maybe you just like that. Nardo says he says I like the under 229 on this one. Boy, yeah, I can see that. The Heat. I'm not expecting to win this game with offense, so I agree with that a lot. What's up, Kilo? Happy Sunday to you as well, my brother. What up, G Herd? It says happy Sunday to you as well, bro. Hope all is well with you guys. All right, let's keep it moving. Sound like a lot of disagreement, and I expected that in this one. Charlotte and Cleveland up next. We got the Hornets getting 10 points as double-digit road dogs here against the Cleveland Cavaliers team that will be without its best player. The Cavs are getting so many points, in my opinion, because they've stunk on the road. They absolutely stink. We remember the last time they played Orlando, they couldn't score the basketball, but they got some reinforcements back yesterday. We talked about liking Charlotte on the money line yesterday. They went, I was about to say they went into Milwaukee. Milwaukee came into Charlotte, lost that game outright yesterday. So on the Charlotte side, they can, submit the injury report late, of course, because the second leg of a back-to-back. But this team, they did get Miles Bridges back. They got Trey Mann back yesterday. And they balled yesterday against the Milwaukee Bucks. You got a Cleveland team, like I said, Donovan Mitchell is listed as out for rest in this game, which is interesting because the Cleveland Cavaliers play the Boston Celtics up next, and Boston's already laying 2.5, depending on where you're looking in that one. So you got Evan Mobley. He missed the game against the Chicago Bulls. In the last game, he has been listed as probable for this game. So whatever illness that he had, looks like he's probably going to be in for this game. Not really sure how much I want to lay 10 points with the Cleveland Cavaliers after such a big win the other day. This team, I bet the Chicago Bulls on Friday night. Chicago was covering the game for majority of the game. Last 5 minutes happened, and Chicago literally cannot score the basketball, literally cannot get a stop. So Cleveland, I do kind of expect to be feisty in this spot. I think, if Brandon Miller plays, if Miles Bridges plays, if Trey Mann plays again, I think that they can keep it within the number, man. Like, I don't want to keep betting against Cleveland. I understand that this offense is very, very potent. I think Cleveland's defense is a little bit better than it has been recently. And I will be one to take the points in this game. Not a game that I bet, but I'm not laying 10.5 with Cleveland when they got the Boston Celtics up next in Boston in a game where they just won by 18 points. They could absolutely overlook this Cleveland team. Cleveland's also been very, very scrappy in the head-to-head matchup. For whatever reason, they've won the last 2 games outright against this Cleveland Cavaliers team. They beat them 118-111 back on April the 14th, and then they beat them 120-110 in Charlotte on March the 27th, and then April the 14th. So, I'm not looking to lay points here with the Cleveland Cavaliers without their superstar player. To me, resting Donovan Mitchell tells me that they think they can win this game without him, which they should. Do they win by double digits? I'm not thinking so. I think the 10 points is a tad bit too much, even with the Charlotte Hornets on the second leg of a back-to-back. The travel from Charlotte to Cleveland is not that far. This Charlotte Hornets team is not, an old historical team. This is a young team. I think they got enough to keep it within the number. That's the only way that I would be looking to play this game, is taking the points with the Charlotte Hornets. All right. Let's see. And Charlotte was well rested before yesterday's game as well. So I know it's a couple systems that say, you fade the team that just won as a home dog, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back. I get it, but I'm not laying double digits with the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. Think they're looking ahead to the Boston Celtics. Let's see. Jimmy Butler ruled out. Helms said, I didn't see that. Is he really ruled out, Helms? Let's see. Jimmy out. Let's see. Did I miss it? Jimmy Butler ruled out 3 minutes ago. That Pacers line is moving now. That first half is up to 2. I might play the first quarter. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I kind of like the first quarter. Indiana. They actually won the first quarter in on Friday, I think. Let's see. Indiana first quarter. You can get a -1 on Caesars. I'm gonna write that down. Add it to my short list. Appreciate you, Helms. I did not see that. Jared says I want to hammer Cleveland -10 here. Opposite side did. We'll talk about this game in a second. 77 figures. What up, Itachi? Says, shout out to Chris for the weekend shows, man. Appreciate you, Itachi. Hope all is well with you. Shout out to my guy, Itachi, man. We got to get on the show, Itachi. You got to let me know when you can come on the show, bro. I love to have you on the show with me, kind of breaking down some trends. Itachi does a lot of SDQL. For people who don't know, you can follow him on Twitter, Best by Itachi, the same way you see his name up here. I appreciate you for tapping in on a Sunday, Itachi. Timeout Sports says, I like the Hornets plus 10. He says Charlotte isn't bad as the books have looked as they've looked. So real quick on this, if I go to Moneyballer, because I was looking at this last night, shout out to moneyballer.com. Promo code in the description of the video if you guys are interested in checking out the Moneyballer. All right, looking at this game real quick. Let me pull it up. Charlotte, you said Charlotte hasn't been bad. Charlotte's been terrible on the road. But I still kind of want them in this spot. I think they can keep it within the number. So looking at Charlotte, I talked about coming off a win as a dog, letdown spot, second leg of a back-to-back. Cleveland got the rest advantage, blah, 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 blah. All right, so ATS-wise, the Charlotte Hornets are 1-4 in the first half against the number, 5-7 against the number in the first half, but they are 7-5 overall. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 10-4 against the number. Only 6-7 against the number in the first half, and then 5-2 against the number in overall as a home favorite. The Cleveland Cavaliers are. Those are not trends that you want to fade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I just think that they're looking ahead here. Prolific says Celtics were struggling with the Raptors yesterday. Was gross. Probably looking ahead to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, I told y'all the Celtics are 2-8 against the number since going back to last season when they led 15 points or more. Now they are 9-2 to the over. I talked about liking the over yesterday. What up? Scissor says weekend shows rule. 77 figure says he likes the Nets here. Yeah, let me know, Itachi. Let me know. Shoot me a DM, bro. We can definitely talk it out. Takri says Charlotte fought hard to come back yesterday. They did. Could be a little bit of a letdown spot. They were down. What was the biggest lead yesterday? I don't think it was that big. I don't think it was that significant. I know that they were down. They were down at halftime. I was playing soccer with my son, trying to have the AirPods in my ear while we doing soccer drills yesterday. So I listened to a little bit. Well, I watched the first half, and then we went outside to play some soccer, and I missed the second half, but it played out the way I thought it would. Let's see, real quick. That biggest lead yesterday was, because it's definitely something I take into account. I'm glad you mentioned this. Biggest lead yesterday was, what did they have to overcome? The Bucks were only down by 8. Only up by 8. They outscored the Bucks by 5 points to win by 1 in the fourth quarter. So it wasn't super big. Like, that's not enough to keep me off in this spot. He says he can see tired legs at the end. Maybe we take a first half over then. And the Charlotte Hornets are not a great offensive team. Charlotte is, if they're gonna stay in the game, it's gonna have to be because of their defense in this spot, and that's acceptable. I just think that without Donovan Mitchell, we see a little bit different Cleveland offense, and I could be wrong, but Charlotte is 8-4 to their team total under. They're 4-1 to their team total under in the first half, and 2-0 to the under on their team total on the second leg of a back-to-back when they're unrested. So yeah, not great trends if you like the Charlotte Hornets team total. Not at all. Karis LeVert, take him up to 20. That makes a lot of sense, Dougie Bone. If Donovan Mitchell is not going to be there, which he's not, it makes a lot of sense. Trey Mann and Ball finna have better offensive games, in my opinion. Yeah. Cleveland defensively does not scare me as much from the guard perspective. Like, you should be able to get what you want in that spot. LaMelo up and over his threes, I think, is a pretty good look. What is that? Vic says, what about Charlotte in the first quarter? If you like Charlotte, maybe you do want to play them early. Don't let me talk you off. I will have to look at their first quarter numbers. I know yesterday they were getting smoked in the first quarter. Defensively, they weren't locked in from the beginning of the game. It took, second half for them to be locked in. Let's move over to the Pistons and the Wizards. Game be played in DC today. We got a Pistons team laying. Look at the Pistons out here laying multiple possessions on the road. And now, granted, they probably only doing this against maybe two teams in the NBA, and the Wizards are definitely going to be one of them. This line was at 5.5. I saw, I guess, sharp money, some kind of weird money come in on the Wizards plus the 5.5. Line goes back up to plus. It moves it from 5.5 down to 5. And now the money's come back in on Detroit to win and cover this game. They're back to 5.5 point spread favorites. And the total trickling up. This was 220 and 229. Went up to 230. Looks like it's coming back down to 229.5 on most books here. So yeah, what do we have in this game? We got a Detroit team that, in my opinion, is very, very motivated in these cup games. The Detroit Pistons don't look now 2-0 in cup play after beating the Miami Heat on Tuesday, and then getting a win against the Toronto Raptors on Friday night. So a Detroit team on the last of a third game road trip. This is the first leg of a back-to-back. They got the Chicago Bulls tomorrow in Detroit. They've won. The Detroit Pistons, don't look now, 6-4 straight up, 6-3-1 against the number in their last 9 games. Detroit out here covering games, man. I'm happy. I'm happy for Detroit. They deserve it. So on the Washington side, first game back home after a 5-game road trip, typically a super flat spot. Tomorrow they probably get smoked. They got the Knicks. I know the Knicks play today. They got the Knicks tomorrow in New York at MSG. So whenever you're playing 5 straight road games and you come home for 1 game, and then that same day you got to leave and fly to another city, that's typically a terrible spot. And I think that the Knicks do whatever they want tomorrow, in my opinion, based on what happens in the game against Brooklyn today. So Washington, they stink. They didn't even cover against the Atlanta Hawks the other day. They've lost, 2-9 straight up, 3-8 against the number on the full season. This team has lost 7 straight games. The only wins that they got came against Atlanta, and the first one was on the second leg of a back-to-back for the Atlanta Hawks. They only got 1 cover in their last 6 games as well. 1 cover in their last 7 games. This is not a great offensive team, not a great defensive team. I do think, one of the things that I was thinking about was, why not just play Detroit team total up and over? I think that makes the most sense to kind of stay away from the spread. If I look at the Wizards defensively, and it's a player prop that I like in this game as well. But if I look at the Wizards defensively, first of all, the Pistons' first leg of a back-to-back, like I said, 4th game in 6 nights. But also first leg of a back-to-back for the Wizards, and first game, like I said, off a long road trip. If I look at the Wizards defensively, though, their opponents are 8-3 to their team total over. So the Wizards have only held 3 of their opponents under their team total. Right now, you can get that team total for the Detroit Pistons at 117.5. I know that that's a pretty high number, but Detroit, I think, can score against the Wizards. Detroit typically doesn't score 118 points. If we look at the injury report, because I did forget to mention that, it looks like they will potentially get Simone Fontecchio back, which I think is key. He is a pretty good 3-point shooter. The Wizards struggle against the 3-point shot. He's listed as questionable in this game. Tim Hardaway Jr. also listed as game time decision. He did not play in that last game after getting hit in the head 2 games ago against the Miami Heat. And Jaden Ivey did come back in that last game and played against the Toronto Raptors. The Wizards do get Malcolm Brogdon back. I forgot to mention that. Brogdon, it'll be his first game of the season. Maybe Jordan Poole under his assists. Probably going to be on some kind of minutes limit for Malcolm Brogdon, who's making his season debut. But I think he's going to take over the point guard duties, in my opinion. He is a really good defensive guard. I love Malcolm Brogdon. Shout out to UVA. But first game back, I'm not sure how much I want to take. I want to take stock into Malcolm Brogdon, especially with him being on the minutes limit. You still got Bud Carrington there, Jordan Poole, Kumawale. Like, they still got some guys. So maybe a team total. What I do want to get there on, and I have not placed this bet yet, is Cade Cunningham. Though up and over 8.5 assists. I think that's the best play in the game. Cade has 7 straight games where he's had at least 9 assists in a row, he's had at least 10 assists in 5 of those 7 games. So this is not we tried to take. I did take Trae Young assists up and over. I think the number was 11.5 on Friday. Gave that out. That was a loser. But I'm in a spot here where I kind of feel like, especially if Fontecchio plays and Tim Hardaway Jr. plays, Cade has plenty of guys that can score the basketball around him, and I think that the potential assists will be there. So I like Cade up and over his assists in this spot a little bit more than I like anything else. Even more than I like that team total over. Cade up and over his 8.5 assists would be my best bet in this game. I haven't locked it in quite yet. Prolific says, shout out to Chris, father of the year, soccer and basketball with little Chris. Hats off to you. Appreciate that, Prolific. My son loves sports, loves being outside. He might be still asleep, honestly. We had a long day yesterday. He played sports all day long yesterday. SK says, during double-double, buy low spot. Washington gives up the most points to centers. Washington gives up the most points to the centers and third most rebounds. Hit last 4 games versus the Wizards, coming off 25 rebound chances in his last game in just 24 minutes. Still plus 120 on Bet365. Hell of a find here by SK. I always forget about Duren, man. Duren double-double is, I see minus 110 now, SK. But yeah, Duren double-double makes a ton of sense to me in this spot. Clint Capella had a double-double in the last game as well. Jalen Duren, double-double. I'm going to write that down, put it on my short list. I like that look a lot. I love the K assist as well, though. But yeah, I like this look a lot from SK. Shout out to SK in the chat. Prolific says, I like the under here. Maybe a Wizards team total under, Prolific. I did have some systems on the under, if I'm being honest. I had home dogs, short home dogs. Same system, actually, that I had on, I forgot what game it was, but I just had this system active the other day, and I'm not sure how much I believe in it with the Wizards and how bad their defense is. But home dogs getting 5 points or less, which when it was 5 points or less, coming off back-to-back losses and the opponents coming off a win, that's a 55% hit rate to the under since the 2018 season. So I did have a system on the under, did not play it. That system also says take Washington plus the 5. No way I'm putting my money on the Wizards. I work hard for my money. I'm not giving it to the Wizards or donating it to the sports books trying to place a bet on the Wizards. So I know Detroit don't typically lay 5.5. That's a lot of points to win by, but I can't play the Wizards. So it'll be, I just play player props in this game. Detroit probably can win this game with their defense. Maybe they don't need to get to 118 points, so don't take the over on their team total. Maybe you just play Cade up and over his 8.5 assists, or you play Jalen Duren double-double like SK just mentioned in the chat. Doggy Bone says he likes Cade assists, Cade rebounds, or take his RA to be safe. Real quick, if we look at Cade's rebounds plus assists, let's see, because I think I did look at this earlier. Let's see. All right, so Cade rebounds and assists. Oh yeah, he's been cooking this line. 7 for 10 in his last 10 games. He's gone over 7 straight games. It's almost like his assist line. 7 straight games he's gone over. The number's 15.5. Looks like minus 106 on a couple books. So not a lot of juice there. Cade has hit this number 7 straight games. 10 assists and 6 rebounds against the Toronto Raptors. 11 and 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is an up-tempo, fast-paced game. So I could definitely see that. The rebounds have actually been there for Cade as well. He had 3 games where he had 11 or 10 rebounds, 11, 10, 11. Then he had 8, 7, 7, and 6 as well. So the rebounds have been there. The assists have definitely been there. Like I mentioned, he's had at least 9 assists in the last 7 games as well. So nice call out here from Doggy Bone. Maybe you just take that. Tobias Harris rebounds. I'm not touching anything with Tobias Harris' name on it. But I hope you cash it, Doggy Bone. He says Kyle Kuzma rebounds too. SK says build it out. Oh yeah, I forgot you could build it out. Get some plus money over there. Shout out to SK for dropping that in the chat. Bet365 Jalen Duren double-double plus 110, I think is what SK said. Shadow says Kuzma points over 19.5. He shot 28 times last game. I don't know. Honestly, just I don't have a feel for it. I have not been watching the Wizards play. I know that they got smoked against the Atlanta Hawks. I didn't watch much of the game the other day. I know Kyle Kuzma hasn't been back for a lot of games. So yeah, I I'm not quite sure there about Kyle Kuzma. All right, let's move over. I think it's one more game I wanted to talk about. This might be the last one. Dallas and OKC. All right, so let's go Dallas, OKC. We got, let me see if this is the last one. This is the last one. So we got the first thing that we got to mention, of course, is the playoff revenge. Dallas, of course, OKC, of course, lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs last year. They probably got this one circled, in my opinion. They will be without Chet. Dallas did excuse me. Dallas did beat OKC last year without Chet. With Chet. So something to take into consideration. You got a OKC team with one more day's rest. Dallas on the second leg of a back-to-back, of course, after beating the San Antonio Spurs by 17 points yesterday with no Victor Wembanyama. That line opened, I think, at 8. It closed at 14.5, and they covered that number as well. Crazy. So OKC, this is the 6th straight home game for them. They beat the Rockets, lost to Golden State, beat the Clippers, beat the Pelicans, and then, of course, beat the Phoenix Suns as well. They do have a game against the San Antonio Spurs coming up. That game will be played on Tuesday. So not much of a look-ahead spot there, in my opinion. You got them laying this is the shortest number I think that they've laid at the crib so far this season, just 5.5. Last time they were laying 5, well, they haven't laid 5.5 at the crib, but last time they were laying a short number, like a 6.5. They actually lost the game outright to the Golden State Warriors. This is a game where I kind of feel like both teams are going to be motivated and fired up to win the game. Of course, OKC will. I think Dallas will, even on the second leg of a back-to-back as well. This is a game I kind of like the over on, man. I kind of like the over on. I know that OKC's defense has been, has been really, really elite. And I've been talking about taking teams up and over the total. I think Dallas being on the second leg of a back-to-back, they did get PJ Washington back in that last game. I kind of think that both teams will be able to score here. I really, really do. It's not something, it's more of a field play, if I'm being honest. I haven't really done too much deep digging, and a lot of the times when I'm playing these revenge games, I typically like to look towards an under. Keeping in mind that the books always set the total a tad bit too high, so it's a little bit of space for the over to hit, for the under to hit. But I think we see points in this game. I think we see fireworks. You got Luka, you got Kyrie out there, Clay, PJ, Derek Lively on the opposite side. You got a bunch of three-point shooters. Dallas on the second leg of a back-to-back. I know Lou Dort is going to, make life hell for Luka, as he typically has. But Dallas didn't expend a lot of energy, in my opinion, last night. I don't think the starters played heavy minutes in the fourth quarter because they had such a big lead against the San Antonio Spurs. So if I'm playing the game, I think I like the over. I don't think I really want to lay points with Oklahoma City without Chet. I'm playing against Dallas because Dallas will be motivated for this game. But OKC, I think, will be fired up and turned up for this game, as they always are. Super professional team, the Oklahoma City Thunder are. So I guess those are my quick thoughts. Just the over is what I would be playing in this game if I'm playing anything here. McLean says, OKC, my team. I'm on them early. The size disadvantage scares me here, but I know Oklahoma City had this game circled, and I would agree with that as well. G. Harris says, my number has this around -4 for the same reason. And that reason, like we said, is because, OKC is without a true big man, and they'll be tested today. Derek Lively, PJ Washington, not even PJ Washington, but Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. This is going to make OKC have to work. And this was the thing that they struggled with last year, was guarding Dallas, specifically their big men. Shadow says SGA over his points. I would look towards SGA to go over his points. I'm not sure who's going to slow SGA down. I think he'll be needed in this spot, Shadow. So, this is not – I don't see blowout in this game. So, I think I like to take players when I don't see them blowing the other team out, especially with good teams. So, I'm not sure what SGA points are, but I probably would be looking at SGA to go up and over his points total today. Let's see real quick if we can get some SGA points props real quick, and then we'll do a quick recap and get up off of here. Let's see. SGA 31.5. Boy, I haven't been playing SGA points, so that feels a tad bit too high. But I already said I like the over, so I guess I couldn't talk anybody off looking at Shea. I mean, he has a a pretty good matchup in my. Well, yeah, I mean Dallas defensively doesn't scare me as much. Like if he get Clay on him, I think he cooking Clay. Let's see. SGA has not gone up and over his points prop, but one time in the last 10 games, he had that 45-point game against the Clippers. Since then, he's been hovering. He had a 29-point game and a 28-point game. Now, granted, they blew out the Pelicans and blew out the Phoenix Suns. His minutes were around 32 in both of those games. Against the Clippers, he played 39 minutes, and that was a back-and-forth game. I think if Dallas can get hot from the three-point line with Luka playing a lot of one-on-one basketball, Kyrie Irving playing a lot of one-on-one basketball, we could definitely see that. So yeah, I still lean towards the over, even though he hasn't gone up and over the number, but once in the last 10 games. This season, he's only over the number twice in 13 games, so that's an 85% hit rate that says he stays under. But I kind of think SGA points I think it's set at 31.5 for a reason, even though he hasn't been hitting the number. So not just quick to fade the trend or back the trend. I like to think about it as well. He's only averaging about 28 points per game, but it's kind of telling that the line is set at 31.5 in my opinion. 77 Figure says OKC minus the 5, top play of the day for him today. We'll see how it goes, man. I think I'm gonna stay off the spread, but like I said, I like the over. Not sure if I'm gonna play the game though. So let's get into a quick recap. Really quickly, let me write these out for you guys so you can see what it is that I do like. I like Cade Cunningham over his 8.5 assists against the Washington Wizards defense that has been giving it up. I like Indiana first quarter. We talked about that. You can get a -1. I like Devin Booker over his 26.5 points. I also think Phoenix plus the points in that first game is a good look as well. So this is what I'll be playing. I've not placed the bet yet. Whatever it is that I do play, I will send it out to the members here shortly. Yeah, whatever I do play, I'll end up sending it out to the members shortly. But Devin Booker over his 26.5 points. Phoenix plus the 7.5 with the playoff revenge. No KD. No Bradley Beal. Still think they cover against Minnesota. Cade Cunningham up and over his 8.5 assists against a terrible Washington Wizards defense. And then Indiana first quarter in the revenge spot against the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler being ruled out. Let's see. First quarter spread. Is that still available? Is that one still available for the Indiana Pacers? Yeah, you can get a half a point if you want. Pay the juice, but I like the -1. Available in a couple books right now. Not a lot of juice either. All right, so those are the ways that I'm thinking about playing the games today, man. Let me know in the comment section what your best bet is, or leave it in the chat somewhere. Let me know what you guys are playing today. SK says, I know you'll like this one, Chris. Stars will be stars. He likes Devin Booker and Anthony Edwards 30. But both of them get 30 at plus 450. I actually think the game goes under, SK. I don't like to play on a lot of overs if I think the game's gonna go under. I think it's a sneaky under spot today. Phoenix without Devin Booker, without Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, I think they're gonna have to play a little defense in the spot today. Grayson Allen don't look now, he's turned into a little bit of a defender in his career. And I think if Phoenix has a chance in the game, it won't be because they get hot offensively. I think it's going to be because of their defense. So I don't like that as much, but I do like Booker. I think he can get to 27 points today. I think he'll be motivated in this spot. Vaughn says might do a same game parlay with SGA to get 25 and a win to get around even money. SK says 25 plus each is 130. So just for them guys to get 25. Okay, I'm looking at some injury stuff right now. Fontecchio, Hardaway, both listed as questionable. Asir Thompson still out. All right, let me get off here, man. All right, this is what I'm playing. If I'm playing anything today, though, the later games, I still got a little bit of work to do. Jazz, Clippers. It's a terrible spot for the Jazz on the second leg of a back-to-back. Clippers need to win in the worst possible way. I know that's a big number. I would be looking towards the under in that spot. Dallas and we talked about that one. Brooklyn and New York. Probably won't play that game. Not a lot that I'm liking. Got a little bit of digging to do if I'm being honest. I do think Houston can win and cover in Chicago. I know it's the first game after a long homestand, but Chicago has looked terrible. I am expecting them to play a little bit better defense after giving up 140, pretty much 150 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Houston plays a little bit slower as well. Maybe a Chicago team total under in that spot. Haven't really looked too much into Denver and Memphis because I don't know if Jokic is going to play. That'll be an interesting game. Portland, Atlanta, I like Trae Young up and over 3.5 threes in that spot. I think Trae Young has a really big game from a scoring perspective today. Portland plays a lot of drop coverage with Klingon, with all of their centers, with Aiden. So I like Trae Young up and over his 3.5 threes in that game if I'm playing anything in that one. But those are just my thoughts, man. Best of luck to you guys on whatever it is that you do play. Check the resources out if you guys are interested in handicapping the games in an efficient, effective, and financially smart way of doing so, and winning some bets as well, man. Check these out if you guys have not. Best of luck on all your action today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. We'll be back bright and early in the morning as we always are on Mondays. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm out.